Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us for another edition of the I've forgotten what it's called. So, New Jack Swing podcast.
How could
Got
you forget?
myself.
That's what a thing about the New Jack Swing, man.
Yeah. Well, got myself, Stevie. We've got Andrew Knight, and we got Vijay, and it's welcome back, guys. It's been great having you guys on. How's everyone been?
Good evening to all. Good evening. How you all doing out there?
Yeah, we've been good. It's excited to be back here again. Thank you for having us again.
Back by popular demand.
It was really fun last time, and I feel the dynamic with all of us was brilliant. And obviously, we're all geeks and passionate about the music. So yeah, looking forward to today.
Yeah. How about you, Andrew?
I'm doing great, and I think there's no delay this time, so I'm so happy about that. I'm more like running into each other when we're talking, but I'm actually really looking forward to talking about this album because, believe it or not, I know you guys are giving me grief for ranking the First Guy album number 6. So some more blasphemous statements may be coming from this square right here. So stay tuned for that. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, Andrew, you really like to be controversial, right?
You know, I mean, it's not even intentional, but I feel like, sometimes my opinions are like, yo, what are you talking about, man? So, yeah, man, let's do this.
Yeah, and we welcome you guys that are coming in. Last exit to Brooklyn. I don't know, you guessed it. Yep. Welcome, guys. Welcome as you guys all come on in. We always like to start off with music news. Any sort of music news? Any music news to share with the audience?
I have been listening. This is a bit old, so I'm sure all of you have heard a list that was compiled by Denny Sutton, DJ Soulchild.
Okay.
It's a New Jack Swing list on Spotify, and it is so good. I mean, he's got like the heavy hitters, like the big New Jack Swing songs in there, but he's got some really obscure titles in there, and I can't praise this list enough. I think it might be the best New Jack Swing list I've ever seen on a streaming site. It is brilliant. So if you haven't heard it, give DJ Soulchild's New Jack Swing playlist a listen.
Okay. DJ Soulchild. Miss Savagnon, welcome. She's out in France. And you guys just heard about so the big R&B shit that was supposed to come to Europe, and Keith Sweat has now replaced Jodeci. Were you guys gonna go, and what are your thoughts on that? Well, Vijay and Stevie.
Wow, I didn't even know it replaced Jodeci. I thought it was just all I've seen is a banner saying Keith Sweat, TGT, Horace Brown, and a few others. I didn't know Jodeci was supposed to be on it.
They were the headliners, yeah. They were the headliners.
That's a shame.
I was approached by Dalvin, I think 9 months ago. So when this show was being put together, they were saying they wanted me to look into some shows in, like, I think maybe in Manchester or somewhere, or Birmingham. They're the two other big cities in the UK. So I know very well, and the London gig was already taken, so I couldn't do that one. So unless I have any partners in Manchester, Stevie, if you know anybody that lives in Manchester,
you need someone with money, preferably someone with lots of money.
Or, and also somebody with passion, somebody that's got a knowledge about the music. If you know anybody like that in Manchester, do give me a shout, because
I will do.
I would love to do some shows in Manchester and Birmingham as well. I don't. My wife's from Birmingham, but none of the people I know in Birmingham would be able to help with that. But that would be a good show. I think Jodeci would be good. But when they cancelled, I was thinking, oh no, man, what's happened? Because I was looking forward to going to the London gig. I really was. It was first time they're coming back to Europe in a very, very long time. So really sad that it's not going to happen with Jodeci.
Yeah. So Miss Savagnon said that she's got a refund because she said in Paris it was advertised as Jodeci only show on the 20th. I think that was the case, and they've cancelled. In fact, when I was speaking to Dalvin I think last week, and I was like, yeah, I can't wait to see you guys. And he was like, well, we'll see. So I think he knew that it might not happen, and so yes, it got canceled, which is sad, because I think that was the main draw. I think Keith might be a big draw. Can't remember the last time he was in the UK. I think they've added SWV as well on the billing. So it's SWV, Keith Sweat, Genuine with Tank and Tyrese, and I think Horace Brown. Yeah,
they all put on a good show. The Keith Sweat is a wildly underrated live performer. I think we mentioned it last time. There was this show in Miami that me and Andrew went to, which had Guy and New Edition on the bill. And for me, the highlight was Keith Sweat. He smashed it. So good.
He's a regular performer, isn't he? Because I did see him live in Manchester, and I thought he's got the stage set up, he's got everything. He's been doing it too long. You know, he knows how to work the crowd. Doesn't he? Even gets the crowd on the stage, and
I mean, he I would say he's probably does more shows than any other R&B act right now. Any show that you'd see advertised, he's the main guy, and he's probably just well oiled in his performance and stuff. So yes, but it's a shame. Go ahead, Ed.
Yeah, actually, Keith definitely killed it. I agree. One of the things I love that you said at that show, the New Edition show, the Legacy Tour, was that I don't open for anyone. The only people that I will open for, or at least not be the headliner, is New Edition. And as a matter of fact, we saw that back in '96 for the Home Again tour, '97 rather. And so I feel like that was really cool. And again, he has a great voice. Even at the Apollo show, remember that? I think it was like the 30th anniversary of the Apollo for New Jack Swing or something like that. That was great in 2018. But in music news, I did also just remember that New Edition is doing their final leg of their residency for 2024. And while unconfirmed, I did see someone comment that they said they were going to come back in 2025 for a February run. So hopefully that's good. The tickets have been all selling out. The clips that I saw from the show were slightly different than what I've already seen. So that's good. And then just one more thing I will share really quick. I went to a venue, which I will not name because I don't want any competition, but I went to a venue last night that actually was perfect for some sort of new Jack Swing party. So the seeds have been planted. Your boy Knight is already thinking about what are we going to do in Las Vegas for us grown folks who want to have a good time. The venue was sick. There was 3 rooms. The themes were great. And it's a hidden gem kind of speakeasy type situation. But man, I think I was already having visions of like 2025, 2026, something. So that's some news for y'all.
We have the venue already, dude. What?
Already. We're not even trying. We're just me and my lady just having a good time. And then she's like, I think this would be good. And I'm like, I think it would be good. So yeah, man.
That's great. That's great.
Wow. Okay. I mean, well, it's good to be able to touch on some of these music news and stuff. Also checking the comments. Hey Risa, fingers crossed. I want to see New Edition. I want to see them in Vegas. My question before we move on to the Dangerous album is New Edition Vegas residency, are they better doing their stadium to the arena tours, or does the Vegas residency just seem a little bit, just the name, we're going to do the show in Vegas, but it just seems limited?
Well, it's definitely more subdued, but and it's not like what we saw on the Legacy tour or the
Culture.
Yeah, man. And I gotta say, I felt so grateful to see the Culture tour because they performed Voice of Men on that show. So they're just different kinds of shows. They are smaller, but they're also more intimate, and so that it's a different feel. I still think it's worth it. I think people should definitely come to Vegas and see them in the residency just to support them. And my prayer, my hope, my dream since God knows when is I'm hoping they'll do this one ballad from the Heartbreak album called I'm Coming Home. I saw a quick clip of them doing it back in like 88 or 89 on BET. I know it was part of the Heartbreak tour set, but it wasn't always there. So from what I heard, man, it sounded incredible. So please, guys, like, just if someone's listening, just add that to your set. I mean, we love the classics, but just surprise us. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
That's it. Oh, one more thing. I know I talk a lot. You guys get me going. And then the other thing I'll just say really quick, not relevant, but it's relevant to New Edition, is I also saw the second leg of the Home Again tour, and that was only with the four of them. So Bobby and Mike had dropped off. So it was just literally like 112 version of New Edition. But they did songs like One More Day. You'll never see that again. And the choreography was incredible. Just the four of them with Ricky in the lead doing One More Day. Wow. That was... I'm getting chills just thinking about it. That was incredible. So maybe they do that too. One More Day and I'm Coming Home, man. Do it for the fans. It was a great song.
Isn't I'm Coming Home like New Edition's? I twin that with Johnny Gill's Giving My All to You. I just feel they're very similar songs. Both brilliant.
Yeah, and it's just brilliant, underrated. I almost call them like the dark horse songs, but especially like Ralph is, I mean, they're all killing it on the vocals. Like Ricky's on the lift, Ralph's on the chorus. He's just pouring his heart into it. And then Johnny comes in, way too long. I mean, come on. Anyways, all right. I talk enough on that.
No, it's fine. Well, no, we do love New Edition, but it is a dangerous album. It is one of the I mean, as before we do, let's go around, Stevie, then Vijay, then Andrew, about what your thoughts are when the Dangerous album first landed.
Who's going?
Start with you, Stevie. Yes, start with you, Stevie.
After being very, very excited of hearing about Teddy Riley working on the album and rushing home with I originally bought it on double vinyl. I still got the double vinyl LP somewhere. Wow. And I looked at all the credits and I realised over 14 tracks, there's only 7 tracks produced by Teddy Riley, and I felt kind of deflated. And I still, to this day, it's still half an album for me. There's another half of the album that I just don't even listen to. I couldn't, it's a struggle today for me to put 10 tracks together because the other 7 I never even bothered listening to. I feel like the album's too long. It could have been a 10-track album. I feel like some of the tracks go on way too long, far too long. It's like they could have edited some of these tracks, could have edited them down. There's a couple of tracks that are completely like just terrible that could go away for me. But the ones that are very good are exceptional. I felt the album cover was like, I feel sometimes when people get a lot of money, they got so much money that it's like, what it's like, what do they spend it on? And they go into the realms of bad taste. So when I look at the album cover, I think, I remember that interview that ITV interview with Martin Bashir, where he goes in a big store like Harrods. Yeah. And he goes, well, what are you going to buy, Michael? And he just goes, well, I'll have that there. I'll take that there. I'll have that there. And he just went on for 10 minutes. He just bought everything in the shop. And that to me resembles the album cover. It's like everything he bought in the shop, he seems to stick on the album cover. And I'm like, what is going on? But like I say, as we go into it more further, the tracks that are good, that are very good. And like say, it's half an album for me, guys. Sorry.
Okay.
Bit too long.
Stevie, with what you said, something very interesting there. Like, when you've got too much money and you spend it on stuff.
Yes.
I think that links to mental health. And I think, people buy stuff because I think Michael was doing that Martin Bashir moment that you're talking about. Yeah. It's very interesting. He's doing that because he's trying to compensate for something. I think I'll buy this, and this. And it doesn't make any sense. It's not going to fill whatever hole I think he had in life or whatever. Even with the album cover, I did love the album cover. But then if I'm comparing it to, say, Off the Wall, Thriller, and Bad, I missed that where there was just a picture of Michael on the front as well. So it's like a bit of, I like the cover, but there should just be a picture of Michael, like cool picture of him on the front.
Would you agree or disagree that this was the album it was the start of his downfall from here.
Um,
I'm not saying the album's a downfall, but everything after this, it just seemed it was a downward trajectory, unfortunately, for Michael after this. You could say that was Thriller the peak, was Bad the peak. This certainly wasn't the peak, but
are you asking sonically, from an audio perspective, like music?
Overall, I think after this, from this album, he was on a downward trajectory, unfortunately. You know,
I think overall, I think that's a fair comment. I think that is a fair comment. But I think sonically, I think he still had like some amazing music.
No, there is on this album.
Invincible, and even on History. Blood on the Dance Floor, which Blood on the Dance Floor was actually originally recorded for Dangerous, and that was dropped. So there's a version which has a more New Jack Swing beat than the version that was released on the album 96 or whenever that album came out. Was it 96, 97?
Yeah, around that time, wasn't it?
Yeah. So Blood on the Dance Floor was taken off. Someone Put Your Hand Out didn't make this album. I heard there's loads of incredible ballads on this album that should have come out for Dangerous that didn't. A close confidant of Michael's said recently, Teddy Riley has 100 unreleased Michael Jackson songs. 100. Wow. What is that? Then if that's the case, why are we listening to Gone Too Soon on this album? That's my question. You know what I mean?
You got to ask, it's like with the Prince stuff. There's so much unreleased Prince stuff, but how much it was any good? Because we've heard all them demos on some of the albums that the estates have released, and you're getting like 30, 40 demos. Some of them weren't that good. Some of them weren't. But the same with this. You've got 100 Michael Jackson tracks. What you'd have to decipher what would be worth putting. I know we'd like to hear them all, like to see them all come out, but really, what should be making coming out to the general public? But anyway, going on to you, Vijay. What were your thoughts on the album?
I see. The thing is, I think I'm one of the guys that my glass is half full. So I'm thinking the same thing you thought, Stevie, and I'm thinking, crap, there's only 7 tracks on here with Teddy. What's going on? But then I heard the 7 tracks, and I'm like, you know what? They're so good. I let it slide in my head. That's what my head said. That's what it said at the time. Then I heard those songs, and I heard like She Drives Me Wild. I could not comprehend how good that New Jack sound with Teddy Riley and Michael sounded. I just could not process it. It was excitement overload for me. My brain combusted. That's how I felt about Michael Jackson's thing.
Yeah.
Okay, Andrew.
All right. So first of all, props to the comments again. Y'all are dropping some good stuff. Favorites of mine. And then Go Dutch. So, yeah, Summer Jam was amazing. And what I'm about to say, I think is in line with you. So first of all, my earliest childhood memories, musically, are Don't Stop Till You Get Enough, Love Hangover, and Rock With You. So literally MJ was like part of my life. My dad was big into music. So we had all three, the big three. We had Off the Wall, Thriller, and Bad. He did not get Dangerous, which I think was a sign. Me personally, MJ to me was larger than life. He was someone who created culture. He didn't follow culture. And I felt like with this album, he was starting to follow. Whereas I think with, the previous 3, he was blazing the trail and people were trying to be like him. And now he's trying to be like what's happening with the music. So when Dangerous came out and Black or White came out, honestly, someone also said in the comments they couldn't stand Black or White. Neither can I. I actually do not like that song to this day. It's just, I think it's Bill Petrol. It's just pop. I feel like, when he became the king of pop, he was kind of abandoning, the MJ that I fell in love with. And my favorite era of MJ is really Destiny to about Victory. So basically, we're talking like 75, 70, right? So 70s, maybe it was like 78 to like 76 to like 84. So Dangerous to me was for me the beginning of the end. But so that's why I'm coming in here saying I feel going to be a bit of a Debbie Downer. Stevie made me a little happy because he started saying stuff that was kind of in line with what I was thinking. So I don't think it's going to be as brutal. There's not going to be as many yellow flags thrown on my statements. But that said, it's not all hate. It's not all hate. There is definitely some real tracks on this album that I love. And I'm going to like reel it in because I want to gush and wax poetic about my favorite track on this album. And I'll save it for when we get to number one.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, for me, it was kind of, oh, okay, he's not like, this isn't the Michael that like captured my imagination. This is the Michael fighting Stay Relevant.
Yeah. I mean, I think it was an album that my favorite producer meets my favorite singer. So this should be golden. And like you, Vijay, I think Steve mentioned, I wish he had just like Thriller, Bad, and Off the Wall, just had a single image of him. I think the album cover sort of represented just the chaoticness of the sounds. You know, on one point you've got Teddy doing some amazing stuff, and then he's like, yeah, let me just add some of these other tracks in just to fill it in. Let me do my own version of Man in the Mirror. Let me do my own version of We Are the World. Let me just add some of those things in. And I think if he had just kept it, I mean, the fact that he recorded Joy and thought, I don't want this. And someone put your hand on me and like proper slow track. Yeah, I don't need this. And so it was like, so it could have been a much better album. And as somebody pointed out, that Rodney Jerkins said that actually if Michael had allowed Teddy and his team to mix it, because some of the tracks that I put out there, maybe the drummings were just too loud and sort of the harmonies and the sort of synths that you normally would get with Teddy was sort of moosed out. Maybe Michael was like, let's just, with Bruce Sedin, let's just bring it down and let's make this loud. And I think that's what Rodney was saying, that yes, some of the mixing, Bruce probably took charge of that and just took away the warmth. And that's the kind of things that we missed in Off the Wall and Thriller and Bad. It felt it musically, those were albums where Quincy allowed the musicians to shine. And I think he over-relied on technology. And it's not that Teddy can't do great technology, but I think he needed to have a little bit more control. And he would tell you he was going to school with Mike. So if Mike says this, he didn't have the leg to say, no, let's try it this way. He tried it with some of the remixes and stuff, but he just didn't. He couldn't really put his stamp on it because that was Michael Jackson. And he was, after all he did with going from with Gene, this was like a lottery to come back out. So he wasn't going to say anything. But supposing he had been able to do Make It Last Forever for Mike, could you just imagine that kind of loves, that kind of groove and stuff. But anyway, we're not hating on the album, so it's good we got it out the way. Vijay, I can see that you're itching to get it, so I'll let you.
No, I wanted to say something. Last week you said something interesting, and like I've never thought about this until you presented this last week, Nnamdi. You kind of touched upon it a little bit, but I think you just said the PG version of what you're actually thinking in your head. The X-rated version last week was something along the lines of, you wanted so much more for this album, like so much more. You were disappointed. And you thought, what are you talking about? You got Teddy on one hand, you got Michael. This should be the best album ever created. And you're talking 91 Teddy. Yeah, 91 Teddy touching, the sound of Michael Jackson. That should be like beyond stratospheric. And you felt it wasn't quite there. Stevie, you've touched upon it. You're like, I listened to 7 tracks and that's it. The rest of them, skip. See you later. I get it. But I just thought that was an interesting point, Nnamdi. I'd never heard it that way. And I agree with you. It could imagine if there was a version, which was the one that we heard, and there's another version, which was the one as you just described, with just Teddy and Jean-Marie doing their thing on site. That would, and with Bernard Bell and everybody else filling the bits and pieces. That would have been the real album that we wanted to hear. That us fans would have wanted to hear. But it's still a spectacular album.
Yeah, it is. No, definitely.
You think about some of the production on those Teddy tracks, though. It come up with almost like a brand new sound on some of the beats, the percussion. I think you even said you were actually painstakingly making like new drum sounds, like throwing things against the wall and trying to record.
Starting a car.
Some of the elements of the production in this album ended up in like, you could hear it in like, say, a Guy remix, Let's Stay Together, and several of the remixes. Yeah. But it all started with this album. So like you said sonically before, Teddy changed his sound. It was still New Jack, but it wasn't anything like we'd heard Teddy do previously.
Especially after he left this and did the Bobby album. I mean, I think sonically that's probably one of his best productions, where he, with the backing vocals and the way it was. Just imagine if he had that type of mixing and control with this, So, but anyway, but let us start off with our top 10, because we can actually, it'd be great to actually talk about the songs and stuff.
Start with Joe first. It's his favorite New Jack Swing album of all time. So you can start. Yeah, you can lead it off.
Okay, so my number 10 track is Will You Be There? I think vocally it's a very strong song. And as we touched upon last time, outside of the 7 tracks that Teddy is credited for on the album, he was also a supervisor on Will You Be There and Keep the Faith. So there are 9 tracks in total that Teddy had involvement in, 7 that he produced and wrote or whatever he did, and then these 2 tracks. So for me, Will You Be There, it's a song that builds and builds, and that makes my number 10.
Fair enough.
Andrew.
All right. So something that Stevie said also resonated. So after I came up with my top 9, I was struggling to find something to put in the 10. I was like, yeah, nope. Okay, what do I hate the least? Terrible, right? No, but after listening to this song, and I actually listened to this song a lot, this and another one before we got on the show. It's actually, and I like it now more than I did before. Exactly. I think y'all are like, yo, again, the yellow flag. But like, I remember like, I hear that the car horn, skip. Like, I'm just like, what is a car horn doing in this song? But as I listened to the song, I heard Akil on there, I believe. I'm like, you know what? You didn't give this a chance, right? So that's my number 10. But it was never historically, like, I would never in a million years be like, I feel like listening to Street Tracks. Wow. Even though I know, like, if I had said that, like, I'm a smart guy, right? Like, during the forum days, I wouldn't have made a post that she drives me wild, sucks. I would have lost all credibility. Y'all would have left. Like, I'm joking, but it's just like that's my number 10, and it was never really like,
wow.
But that's where it is.
Do you think? I was listening to the way he sang on that. You can't fault the way he sings on this album. His vocals are unbelievable on it, but he sings. Has there ever been another track where he sings as aggressively as he does on this track? It's very aggressive the way he sings on this.
Shout?
I don't know what it is. It just sounds aggressive.
But that's the thing, though, because I feel like the MJ that I fell in love with was not the angry, singing, screaming MJ. It was the MJ you hear on Butterflies. It was the MJ you hear on a lot of the, again, the Triumph album, the, more just like buttery vocals. So I was, so to your point, probably not. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, that's just not the MJ that I was into, really. Does that make sense? Yeah, totally. I think he emerged more like post-Bad.
Wow. I mean, it's a heavy funk swing track. It grinds to grind in. That's probably what really is it, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
A dance floor stonker. Sorry.
Stonker. It's definitely a stonker. Definitely.
Stevie, what makes your? Because if you're struggling to have more than 7,
I was actually going to say, you know what, guys, I'm just going to start at number 7, but
no,
it wouldn't be fair. So what I've done is, I did re-listen again over the last few weeks to the 7 tracks that I didn't really listen to. and tried to come up with a few that I could throw in there. And coming in out of a best out of a bad bunch at number 10 is Keep the Faith. Now, that's actually a half decent track. It's very bad in the mirror vibes. I like the Stevie Wonder-esque bass line, like synth on it. That got me attention. I thought, yeah, this would, if it's a 10-track album, it's right at the end of the album. That was a fairly solid track. Weren't as good as, say, Man in the Mirror. Someone put in the comments saying that Bad was his worst album. I'm like, are you kidding me? But, yeah, number 10, Keep the Faith for me.
Yeah, I mean, my number 10 was Keep the Faith as well. And,
Joe's dying to say something. He's dying to say something.
I was going to say Bad was not as good as Dangerous. It just wasn't. I mean,
there's still some great tracks on it.
No, I'm not taking the songs away. It's brilliant. I mean, there's some absolute killer songs on there. But Dangerous, in my opinion, is a bit better than Bad. And can't talk about the other albums, Off the Wall and Thriller. They're in a different league of their own, but this album's better than Bad. Just my thoughts.
And maybe because Bad came out in an era where his follow-up from Thriller, so he was, the Bad tour was probably the biggest thing since before.
Well, here's the thought about the Bad album. I think more of the tracks now from the Bad album have stood longer in terms of attention and being played than the Dangerous album. You think of the title cut. You think of The
Way You Make Me Feel.
Look at Smooth Criminal. That's still
Smooth.
Viral hit. You've got which one was a track sampled by MC Light?
Oh, Liberian Girl. And then you've got even like Man in the Mirror. I mean, that
Man in the Mirror, there's 5 tracks. Dangerous hasn't got 5 tracks that people remember.
Sorry, I'm with you.
Yeah. I'm not disagreeing.
Back then I would have agreed with you, Joe, but I'm looking over 30 years' time. I think Bad's still
Leave Me Alone. Even like I love Leave Me Alone because that actually is very much part of my personality. So it's just like, man, I feel like, I mean,
At least we forget we're supposed to be celebrating the Dangerous album, not
we
bashing
will.
it.
We are.
It's supposed to be almost like slamming it and just like.
No, we're telling the truth, Nnamdi. The truth's coming out on this podcast today. So you've gone with Keep the Faith as well.
Yeah, I went with Keep the Faith, and I like the working with the undercrowd, the choir, and I think keeping to his roots and showing his versatility there. I know he wanted his own version of Man in the Mirror, but and I think that it being able to, if he had performed that live like he did Man in the Mirror, I think he would have been really great. But if he had left it out, I probably wouldn't have been upset about it. So it's one of those things where that it was, it was good. It wasn't. It was bad. It was the best of a bad bunch of the last 4 on the album stuff. So it was as I said. Teddy fan, his 7 tracks are in the top 10. But anyway, number 9.
BJ.
So for me, it has to be Give In to Me. Wow. I think it's a brilliant song, and I think it's wildly underrated. I think it was released as a single in some regions, and I think it's a solid song.
Yeah, it came out after the Oprah interview, so he premiered it during that interview.
Vocally, it just sits so well with me. It feels like a real Michael Jackson song. And I think what you guys are alluding to is Dangerous didn't really sound like a Michael kind of album because we were so used to the Quincy Michael collaborations with the other 3 albums. But Give In to Me felt like it was a real Michael Jackson ode to rock kind of. I loved it. So that's my number 9.
He did show his versatility. Colin.
God, I thought it was terrible. I'm sorry. I just thought it was shocking.
No, there are shocking songs on this album. Like,
yeah. Hi, Colin Mills. Hey, he's joined us. He's out there in Florida. He said he weren't going to make it this week, but
he's on holiday. Oh wait, actually, Colin's in Birmingham, and he's into the
big up
music
to
stuff.
Zach is in. And Marco doesn't like a bad album. He's swaggy on. Hello, Bono.
And Zach's there as well.
Yeah.
Okay. Joined us. Music tips. It's quite a few logged in live tonight. So yeah, give it to me. Who played guitar on the album? Slash. Wow.
Yeah. So you're saying, hold on. For all the rock fans out there, Stevie has just said that a song with Slash sucks. That's what he said. You heard him.
Okay.
Andrew, what's your number 9?
My number 9 is actually Keep the Faith. So I think that we're in line there. I do think it has it has meaning, it has swing. But to me, it was like, it's gospel-y, but it was almost like, all right, you're trying to do Man of Manor again, So for me, I want to see something new. I don't want to see you trying to recreate lightning in a bottle, that kind of thing. And really quick, because I'm all about the tangents, just wanted to say I've been comparing the 4, like either the big 3 or the big 4, right? With Dangerous, because this is a lot like Janet and Velvet Rope, right? Okay, I'm gonna reel it in. I'm gonna keep us on track. But the Velvet Rope and the Janet album was always kind of like the argument, and I always thought Janet was better than Velvet Rope, and then I finally conceded like 2 years ago. I actually hit up Vijay after we had argued for years about this, and I said, "Hey, Vij, you know what? I listened to them back to back, and you're right. I just had to mature. It grew on me. Velvet Rope is an artistic masterpiece." That's said. Dangerous, believe it or not, sounds more dated than the others, and I don't know why. It's maybe the production, it's more tinny. I don't know, but I just feel like, when you hear the chunky synth of like Billie Jean, that seems more, or even like Don't Stop to Get Enough, it's more timeless and eternal. Whereas if you hear like Speed Demon or something like that, you hear that kind of clattery, like late 80s, like it's just not as, it's just dated to me. All the Liberian Girls and shit. Sorry for cursing. Sorry. In any event, I just wanted to say really quick, even though I prefer Bad as an album, I do think it is the least, in a way, eternal of the 4. I think that Dangerous is going to have a bit more of an eternal sound because it was so ahead of its time in terms of its sonicness. So that's my concession on Dangerous.
Okay. Miss Seven, you're actually more dated than Off the Wall.
Again, that's basically an argument. I know I've gotten in arguments over this. For me, because technically it's like, how can it be more dated? Because Off the Wall came out 10 years before. But again, to me, I think certain production elements are eternal. So I do think that Off the Wall has a bit more, or haircuts, for example, right? If you got a high top fade, that's going to seem a lot more dated because it's very, transient, or bell bottom jeans than like chunky glasses, because you saw chunky glasses in the 50s, 60s, 90s, whatever. Some things are eternal. And I think that certain sounds on the Off the Wall album are a bit more eternal than a Bad. I think that there's a lot more retro disco type music out there right now than retro late 80s music out there. It's just, that is really its own thing. But disco, nah, man, you can still hear that in 2016, 2017.
Okay. Stevie, what's your number 9?
I've only picked this because I remember what it sounds like, not because it had a chugging bass line. It's just a filler. I can't even say it's a favorite because it wasn't. It's just, I picked Who Is It just because I remember what it sounded like. That was all. Who is it? Who is it?
How are we struggling with this album? Okay,
really,
I picked Will You Be There as number 9. Maybe because it got overplayed. Maybe when it first came out, it would have been a little bit higher. But Will You Be There? I think just at first I loved it, but I think as I've been going on, the other songs much better for me. But yeah. So we've crept into number 8. So hopefully a lot more upbeat from here.
We should be. My number 8 is, and I think some of you might be surprised, is Jam.
Okay.
Jam is number 8 for me.
Not surprised. Not surprised.
Huh? You're not surprised?
No.
I like Jam, but it wasn't one of my favorites on the album. There was a version on this. What was it on this thing? It was on this 12-inch. There's this 12-inch of Jam, and there's a Teddy's. What's it called? Teddy's Jam, and there was a Teddy's 12-inch mix. Those mixes, I wish they were on the album rather than the version that was on there. If that makes any sense, I don't know if it does to anybody, but
Yes.
I wasn't that keen on Jam. But it's still a great song. The fact that Heavy D's on it, and there's an original version of Jam which has Heavy D's rap. He says, "First I chilled like a fan, got with Janet, then with Guy, now with Michael, because it ain't too hard for me to jam." And that was on the version, that was on the demo version that they recorded. And I loved that Heavy D was talking about Janet and Guy and Michael in the same thing. And I was like, wow, this is too much excitement. I love Guy, I love Janet and Michael. It was like one big happy family. And I love that. And that's why it makes my number 8.
Can I say something? I remember being disappointed, thinking, why does Heavy D sound like Chubb Rock on this? Like, I just felt like you don't sound like yourself. You're like, jam, here comes the man. Like, that's very Chubb Rock. So, I don't know. That also added to the whole, like, why does this album feel like it's chasing versus creating and originating? For me, personally. I just want to throw that out there.
Oh, goodness. Stevie.
What was your number 8 then, Andrew?
Oh, me. It was Will You Be There? Was my number 8. So yeah, I think of Free Willy because that was like a Shamu video or movie, whatever. I think he actually produced the soundtrack, the MJJ Records. Yeah. So again, it's not. I would never play a song like of my own volition, but it was something that I would not necessarily like hate if it came on. I would just think about, good times, good simpler times, high school.
Oh goodness. Stevie, number 8, if you could find a number 8.
Well, surprisingly, I agree with Vijay, and at number 8, I've gone with Jam. And the reason I've gone with that is I like the tempo of the track. I couldn't understand what he was saying though. I remember listening to it. I couldn't quite. He was singing that fast that I'm like, what did he just say? But I do remember the story was he had heard Teddy's Jam, and he said, I love this song. I want Teddy in the studio. And that got me thinking, is Michael Jackson's Jam as good as Guy's Jam? And the answer is no, it isn't. So for that reason, I do like Jam, don't get me wrong. But it's not like a mega favorite on the album. But, if I'm playing the album, I will play Jam. Note that if I'm only playing the 7 Teddy tracks, why is it a number 8? And that will come later.
Right, history. It's a mystery.
Yeah, I think almost a full house. Yeah, Jam is number 8 for me. It's a good way to start the album. It has the broken glass and then a countdown. You can hear Teddy doing the. And
let's not forget the video. Who was in the video with him?
Yeah, Michael Jordan.
Yes.
A lot of people remember the track from the Space Jam soundtrack as well, but. It was, yeah. I mean, it was definitely. I mean, I haven't listened to the remake of it, but yeah, I think I was disappointed with Heavy because Heavy rap on All Right was much better, relaxed and chilled, and the Bumbiddly so he's more of himself. But it's almost like, look, Heavy, you've only got a few seconds, do your rap and get out of here and stuff. So disappointing. So it is my least favorite Teddy production on the album, and that is so Jam's number 8 for me.
Wow.
Okay, serious business now. Into the top 7. Go ahead, Lee.
So top 7 means we're into the Teddy Riley tracks.
Majority of them,
exactly. So the theme I've picked up from you guys is that this album was a bit forced. It was like a square peg in a round hole, or whatever the appropriate expression is. We expected more, and I think Zach was the one that mentioned "Can't Let Her Get Away." That's my number 7. I'm not so keen on this song, like some of the other Teddy tracks. Teddy was asked by Michael to not have any samples, just create new music. So, Nnamdi, do you remember I mentioned Cut Technician last week?
Yeah.
So Cut Technician, or 2 weeks ago, Cut Technician has an incredible encyclopedia of music. But who has a bigger encyclopedia of music was Cut Technician's mum. Teddy Riley used to get advice from her as to what could be done for certain songs and things like that. So that's Cut Technician's mum.
Wow.
Now, on that song, Can't Let Her Get Away, they've incorporated very cleverly a James Brown sample. I can't remember which one it was. They've done it, but Michael didn't pick up on it, so it snuck in there. James Brown is on this album, so Can't Let Her Get Away, and that's my number 7.
Wow.
Okay. Andrew, what makes you number 7?
Stevie, VJ's Joe's favorite song, Gone Too Soon. That's my number 7. And the reason why, believe it or not, is after hearing Usher perform Gone Too Soon at the funeral, and his voice actually cracks towards the end, I was like, damn, like I feel like Here One Day, Gone One Night. I don't know. As someone who, we've all dealt with death, I just, yes, it's syrupy, it's like, sweet and all that, but I also think it's real. I think sometimes people can go too soon. So when Mike actually ended up going too soon, and Usher is someone who I see as someone who, this is a good segue. I talk about creating culture, following culture, and participating in culture, and there is a difference. And I think that Usher is someone who's no longer like necessarily cutting edge, bleeding edge relevant, but you also don't see him chasing and trying to be somebody he's not. He's still very much participating and celebrating those around him. And I think he's a textbook example of, I think, artistry done right as a pop artist or R&B artist. So anyway, that's why I picked Gone Too Soon. I think it's, I actually don't listen to it because it actually hits me a bit hard. I don't want to feel all sad and melancholy. It means something to me.
See, lyrically, I get why you're saying that. Everything you said, they're all very valid points. But the song is just too painful for me. It hurts my ears. I can't do it. If I could burn that song off the album, I would.
It's a beautiful song. It doesn't seem to fit the album because it's almost like at one point you go in this direction, then he's adding his sort of beautiful ballads that don't really, he's very it was a beautiful song, beautiful delivery, and even the theme of the video was about the little kid who had HIV and stuff. Yeah, so I mean it was really sentimental song, but yeah, okay, Stevie.
I've gone with Why You Wanna Trip on Me, that very funky guitar, the chugging, why you want to get, very, very funky track. I enjoyed that. I don't know what else to say. It was on about homelessness. There was, I don't know, had he been listening to Janet? The Janet album, Rhythm Nation. Was this his response to Rhythm Nation? Lyrically, I'm not too sure. But and it was surprising to hear a Teddy track with so much guitar in it. I would say, it's more Princey-ish this track than Teddy. But I thought it was a good track anyway. So it's at number 7 for me.
So I saw an interview that Jimmy Jam did, and because they worked with him on History with Scream and stuff, and he had admitted that Michael, as much as he was selling out, and I don't know if it was also in the Janet documentary, but he was impacted by Rhythm Nation. And he just thought this was the concept, the whole thing. And was the beginning of his fall. He kept chasing that sound. So he did The Dangerous. The sound was like his own, trying to copy that. He went and said, okay, let me get Jimmy and Terry. The whole Scream. And it was he went away from the soul type of, as you said, trendsetter to I needed to catch a Rhythm Nation, and that was it. You know, even when he did Invincible, it was that kind of hard sound that he was trying to follow up with, and it was like, you know, all those soul songs, and you know, when you think of Lady in My Life and Baby Be Mine and those type of passion that Mike could deliver, he just went away from that. So yeah, I was disappointed when I found that out, and it kind of made sense. But my number 7 is this song made Meteor Man, the Meteor Man soundtrack. I think, does anyone remember what song it is? He was on the Meteor Man.
Of course, which is why I was going to mention that too. But it's okay. I'm not going to say anything else. But yes, go.
Yeah, it was at the beginning of Meteor Man with Robert Townsend. But no one even says this is the first time, and probably only time, that Michael Jackson rapped. Why wasn't it a big deal? No one made a big deal of the fact that Michael Jackson was actually attempting to rap on an album. And I was shocked that it wasn't like pulled up or anything. It was just almost went unnoticed. But this is one of the tracks that I mentioned that, in case I Can't Let Her Get Away is the track. But this is one of the tracks where I think Teddy wanted to bring in the richness of the sounds of the stuff, but it's like Max said, nope, I just want to focus on the beats and it was just, I was like, man, if you had brought in someone, because if you listen to it like with headphones, you can hear the Sims trying to get in there, but he was like, no, I want the track and the drumming to be the main focus of it. And I think it doesn't make you feel attached to it. It's just like, okay, here's a track. But you know, but drum programming and stuff like that was really good. But I think he missed a trick where Teddy's really into that soul, and that stuff got missed out. You know, trumpets and things like that. I Can't Let You Get Away, number 7 for me.
Wow, I'm surprised you and Vijay have got it so high up.
Yeah.
Wow.
What is a Teddy track? It wasn't. Well, this is number 7, and this is my second Teddy track. So, yeah.
Number 6, Vijay.
Number 6 is hugely popular, and but for me, it comes in at number 6 is In the Closet. I like the song. I wasn't so keen on it as a single at the time. I don't think I had any problems with Naomi Campbell in the video, but as far as the song was concerned, I didn't think it was the right choice. I would. There's other songs. I'm surprised Dangerous wasn't a single, for example. Original Brian Loren composition that wasn't a single. So In the Closet's at number 6, reluctantly. I know for most people it's at number 2 or number 1, but hey, it is what it is.
Wow, number 2, number 1.
It was a good video as well, though. I mean, I think it was definitely a good video. Unfortunately, he didn't dance enough in it. He only had the little time when he tried to do stuff, and it was like everyone was like waiting for more from him.
And the other thing about that video was interesting. As good as Naomi Campbell looked in that video, as a young man, my thought process at the time was, Naomi Campbell's so lucky to be in that video with Michael Jackson. That's what I thought, because it's. But like
she looked as if, man, I can't believe I got Mike. She looked like that. Yeah.
We all wanted to be Naomi Campbell, not Michael Jackson. That's so weird, isn't it? I don't know.
Was she so lucky to be a Diddy party? Oh, I didn't say that. Okay, let's move on.
Andrew, what's your number 7? Sorry, number 6.
Yeah, my number 6 actually. It's Can't Let Her Get Away. And I remember the first time I actually really paid attention to the song was indeed Meteor Man, because I do like superhero films. So that's the opening track of the film. The credits are playing, and it's like, I can't let and it's like, you know, the BPMs are slower, and it just feels like more of like, here's my issue with a lot of the faster stuff, or even like the Demetrius Shipp stuff. To me, it feels very one note. It's very just flat and straight, and it's beat, 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 but not a lot of like ups and down with the rhythm or the melody. So Can't Let Her Get Away is the closest thing to having a lot more, for me, melody for those kind of Teddy tracks. So, and it just has a certain swagger to it that I think that Another Getaway is my number 6. I'm glad that you made that Meteor Man connection too. And I think that, yeah, I think it was a missed opportunity.
Can I just comment on something you said there, Andrew? So you were saying that the music was very like that. It was in a straight line.
Monotonous. One note.
Monotonous. Yeah. So a lot of the original versions of this album had like keyboard solos and guitar solos and more of that.
Yeah.
But when they actually edited the album, they got rid of all of that because they felt that that sound was dated by that point. So they wanted to go with the monotonous because they felt that the other aspect of having like solos and things like that was dated. So
and I think that was the mistake that was here. I'm gonna get in trouble. That was made in the Bobby album. I think that the Don't Be Cruel was a lot more melodic, whereas the Bobby album was a lot more kind of straight funk beats. And I think that that's the difference between a 2 million selling album and an 8 million selling album. I think that they kind of, and I think that Troop wisely hedged their bets. They had She Drives Me, She Blows My Mind, and whatever. I'm Not Gaming as like that style, but then they also had songs like Set Me Free and Whatever It Takes. So I get the psychology. I just think that they kind of made the wrong bet there, in my opinion.
Fair enough.
I find it interesting that like one of the most Teddy sounding tracks on the album, you guys have picked it like 7 and 6. So that's interesting. Can't let it get away because I think it's a very and we're on a New Jack Swing podcast as well, but we'll get to that later. You put it, but my number 6 is what we're saying. If we're number 6, you're still at number 6.
Yep.
What we're saying earlier about some of the tracks being far too long, I think this was one of them. The way you're waiting for this to get going, and then it bounces in, and then it like Knight was saying, goes to a peak, and then it comes down again, and it's like house music. It builds up to a crescendo, then drops. But too long this track. I do like the track, but it's too long. In the Closet, it takes forever to get going. Takes forever to end, and there's all these peaks, but it's again once it gets going, it's quite a good track. You know, it does really creep up on you and grow. I like the remixes. There was some 3 Boys from Newark remixes that give it a bit of more of a New Jack feel as well. So number 6 for me, In the Closet.
And Zach has mentioned, what is it, the dance mix of In the Closet.
Don't know if I ever listened to that.
They're all good. There's Touch Me Dub, KI's 12, the Underground Mix, Club Mix, the Mission, Freestyle Mix, Mix of Life, and the Underground Dub.
I remember the KI mix. That was about it.
Kiama Griffin.
Yeah, I remember that one. I don't remember listening to the other mixes. I'll be honest. I need to.
So Teddy didn't do a remake?
No, not of that. And I think the original version of In the Closet was with Madonna, because I think they were dating at the time. And I've never heard it. I don't know what that would sound like. I'd love to hear what Madonna and Michael Jackson sound like together on a Teddy Riley production.
Wow.
Yeah.
I had In the Closet at number 6. I loved the video, loved the the Bruce Willis T-shirt as vest that he was going for and stuff like that. And Naomi felt like Naomi was like, "Come here, don't be too shy. I will bite," or something like that. But it was definitely a different song. When Teddy was doing the verses with Babyface, I'm like, why didn't you just play this as a filler when you could have just knocked any of Babyface's tracks out the water by playing this track. But we'll probably one day talk about the verses Teddy and Babyface. It was probably one of my most disappointing nights. I still relive the memory of like if I had picked his 20 songs, he would have smashed Babyface out the window. But anyway, my frustration is still boiling on that. But yeah, In the Closet at number 6.
Looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to seeing that.
Yeah, In the Closet number 6. I'm like, why are you playing somebody a remake SWV? You had songs, and yeah. Okay, let me get into it because I had to make sure I was playing peace between Teddy's camp and Brian Alexander Morgan and All Star over that Human Nature remake, because it was like who taking credit, and should he Teddy have added it? Did he do anything? And yeah, that was a whole civil war on that one. But anyway, number 5, VJ.
Number 5, I'll get to that. There's somebody that said Mystery Girl is Princess Stephanie of Monaco. So that might well be the case, but there is apparently a version somewhere, who knows where, in someone's garage, where they have a version with Madonna or something. That's what I understand. So
yeah, Teddy said in an interview, I can't remember where I had this interview, just within the last 12 months, that Michael sent him to Madonna's house.
Yes, I saw that interview on YouTube as well. And basically, he changed his mind. But I remember Teddy being kind of freaked out, like, why are you sending me this place? Because this is Stevie, you said it, pre-freak off era, so to speak. But I think Teddy was a little concerned, like, I'm a young kid. What am I doing here? I don't want to end up like Dallas and I'm sorry. Anyway, yeah. So we saw the same thing. From what I remember, he just said Teddy changed his mind. I mean, not Teddy. MJ changed his mind. He's like, he just changed his mind. But yes, the Madonna thing was absolutely underway.
So my number 5 is Who Is It?
Who is it?
And that this UK 7-inch had this really random cardboard cutout of Michael Jackson. You can see I've never it's in pristine condition. I'm not doing anything with it. I'm going to put it back in the record. But they did that to try and get us to buy more stuff back in the day. It had like pop-ups, Michael Jacksons and stuff. But this song, Who Is It? I think it's a perfect composition, or near enough. It reminds me a little bit of Stranger in Moscow. I don't know if you've listened to either of those songs with your headphones on, but they have, you hear the different sounds. You hear like a beat in this ear, then you hear a beat in this ear, and it's fluctuating between your eardrums, your different earpieces. And I really appreciate that from a production perspective. And I love this song. I don't care whether this is Teddy or whoever it is that produced it. It didn't matter. This makes my number 5, and it's certainly better than 2 other Teddy tracks. That's not my number 5.
Sacrilege. Okay. Andrew.
Well, my number 5 is also Who Is It? And I think what I like about Who Is It is it's very introspective. It's melancholy. It's just like, or it's brooding. And I like how the lyrics and the music and the feel, like they all just, there's gravitas, there's a heaviness to it. I love Stranger in Moscow. It's actually one of my favorite MJ songs of all time. Oh my God, you don't get me started. But yeah, I that's my number 5, and I think that's it's basically, I would actually put that song on just if I just wanted to hear it. You know, it's, to me, it's one of MJ's last like great tracks for me. I mean, Butterflies is the it. I mean, for me, Butterflies is like literally, for me, like my headcanon grand finale. Like that's it. That's all she wrote. But let me just like leave you guys with something magical, and he did. And it was so sublime and subtle, but it was perfect. Anyways, but yes, number 5. I'm right there with you, Vij.
Stevie.
I'll be honest, guys. I've cheated here. I've cheated. I'm not going to apologise for it, but like I said before, I couldn't fill this top 10. Now, this is where I'm going with this. Going back to the Thriller album, they left a track off it, a 2-minute track, which still blows my head away to this day, called Carousel.
Brilliant.
The reason why they left it off is because when they cut the vinyl, they didn't have enough time to actually put the track on. I think it was either that track or leaving Human Nature off, and you couldn't have left Human Nature off. So Carousel didn't make it. Now I think the story goes with this. Obviously, there was a lot of tracks quite a few that were left off the Dangerous album that Teddy did. So I threw in a Teddy track that did get released. It wasn't unreleased. It did get released, shortly after the Dangerous album on a Pepsi commercial tape cassette. For me, it could be number one. It's that good. It's that strong.
Yeah.
It's also on this lavish Michael Jackson Ultimate Collection, 4 CD, 1 DVD. If you've not got this, there's a whole bunch of demos and unreleased tracks on this. Set you back quite a bit of money, but well worth it. So I've included Someone Put Your Hand Out as a cheat, just to film a top 10. It's a mind-blowing record. It could be number one for me, but there you go. That's spice things up. Sorry, guys, but
I think I want to change my list now. I want to change my list. My list is
my list would be different. I actually legitimately hit up these on WhatsApp because, I don't think it's like that would have been my number one. I mean, that is the one for me. I love that record. And I remember hearing it during the intermission, during the Bucharest thing. And I'm like, what is this? This is the instrumental. And why is this not a single? So like, it
was recorded in 1992. According to this, it was recorded like 3 or 4 months after the Dance album. I don't know if that's true or not.
And I know Tammy Lucas, I think
she wrote Joy. She was a co-writer with.
I think she did.
Her and Teddy co-wrote Joy with Michael.
Joy, you're right.
Someone Put Your Hand Out was a promo cassette in Europe and I think the US, and I think in Japan they were giving out a 3-inch disc. It was a mini disc, little CD, 3-inch CD. That was a promo that was handed out to people that were attending those concerts. And if you look at the cassette for Someone Put Your Hand Out, it says that it's produced by Michael Jackson. And when I heard the song and I read that, I burst into laughter, thinking, "What kind of madness is this? I think they've missed somebody's name here."
Yeah.
And then that box set that you just picked up, Stevie, the one that you just showed, I was glad that they did correctly credited Teddy Riley on that, because there's no way Teddy wasn't all over that production. Not a chance.
It says on this it was recorded in April of 1992. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what it says. Is there a horn in it? I thought, and it doesn't list who plays the. It's either a horn or a trumpet on it, but it doesn't list who plays it. But it says from the Dangerous Tour Pepsi exclusive cassette release.
Yeah,
so,
but
Paulina DaCosta plays on it. Who else is in it? Yeah.
Oh, another thing I want to say really quick is MJ stopped touring in the US after that. So we never saw him again in the US. So that was also, I think, partly why I just felt like something changed. Like, so the Dangerous Tour, there was no Dangerous Tour in the US. So we never got that tape. Like he just abandoned us. I felt like it was really weird.
Yeah. I felt the opposite. I felt like America abandoned Michael. That's the vibe I got. Not Michael abandoned America. And
we abandoned him after the whole controversy. But the thing is, Dangerous happened before the controversy, which is also why I kind of associate the two things. Like if Dangerous comes out, he's starting to get a little weird. The whole like car smash thing, that was for some reason, like I don't get it. But apparently people did not like the car smashing thing at the end of the black and white video. It was controversial. So between cutting your eyes behind that whole cover, you're starting to do the things, you're starting to become Wacko Jacko, basically. Then you leave the US, which is your home, which is what birthed you, and then start going pop, and not being soulful or R&B anymore. And I just found like there's even a song, I'm getting controversial, there's even a song called Puppet Masters with Dr. Dre and I think Be Real from Cypress Hill. And Dr. Dre says, as wildest chances as Michael getting his black fans back, find it, So that was the thinking of Dr. Dre in 96, because MJ really did he shifted. So anyway, Someone Put Your Hand Out to me is a very R&B track. So the fact that R&B track was left off, put on a random promo CD for a tour that didn't even take place in your home market, I don't know, man. I think it was both. I do think that, yes, the US did abandon Michael, but I think Michael started like leaving first.
No, yeah. I agree. It should have been on there if it was possible. But if Stevie's date, the date that you shared, Stevie, if it's April 1992, that wasn't possible. We don't know if that's the case. So if it was made afterwards, that makes sense.
Yeah,
So,
and I don't even know if I buy that, because I feel like if Teddy was involved, I'm sure all those sessions, like he had 100 songs, like maybe that's a date on the sleeve, but maybe it was recorded earlier. That song sounds very joyous, you know, like the instrumentation and everything else.
yeah, maybe. But the thing is, like, what you're saying, man, mental health is a fragile thing. Like it really is. Like if somebody feels that they're being pushed in a corner, they're like, you know what, I want to run away. So maybe that's what it was. Michael might have felt like unsettled in the US. This might have been before the controversy. I don't know.
Now we're going into like straight up like crossfire. Because the other thing, the biggest tabloid market on the planet is probably the UK, right? So I remember when Winehouse was going through her thing, I'm like, why would you move to London? Move to Montana. The Royals did that. Like talking about like the redhead and the, you know, I forget her names. Well, anyway, the Royals, they left the UK is the worst place to be, or Europe in general, if you are trying to get away from the tabloids. Okay, so I'm sorry. I think that I think that you had Neverland, you had your own bubble, you had a place to like actually cocoon, you know? So I hear you, but I think this whole mental health thing, like as far as blaming the US for your mental health, I can't get on board with that. And we should probably go back to the album.
No, I'm not blaming the US. I'm just saying it's about perception. Mental health is about perception. And if in Michael's brain, he felt that these people on this side are against me, I'm going to go over here. Even if it's mad over here, he's made the decision in his head because of his perception. Things are bad over here. They'll be kinder to me over here, I think. But he doesn't know. And he wasn't just in the UK. I believe he was in different parts of Europe. There were different times when he was in Bahrain. I believe he was in Africa for a period. There's lots of places he ended up.
Sure, but I think that ultimately the Dangerous tour was mostly a European tour. I'm sure he did stuff in Japan too. But I think ultimately he had some sociological issues where he was kind of trying to aspire to a certain.
Fair enough.
Yeah, you could read between the lines. So
yeah, I mean, it's sad for me because I moved to the US in '92, and I moved in. So Michael did the first Super Bowl halftime show, and from then, you know, that was in February. Then a couple of weeks later, he was on the Grammys getting a Lifetime Achievement Award, and he was just getting ready to start his tour. Then the Jodie Chandler allegations came.
Okay.
It just stripped him. It just made a massive stuff. And actually, he was about to. They were doing the Addams Family Value soundtrack, so that's probably where Ghost and Is It Scary was all recorded for that. And I think promoters were being wary about, you know, doing a concert in the US. Hence, in Europe, he did the Dangerous tour around the world. He also did the History tour around the world. I don't think the US market was as favorable to him at that time, or he didn't think it was. So my disappointment is while I was in the US, he never toured, and I moved back to the UK, and he died when I already bought my ticket. So this is it. But back to our list.
You're at number 5 now.
I was going to say the date. Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead, Andrew.
Oh, number 5 already?
No. I was going to do my yes. So just for the records, we've scratched off Stevie because someone put down this great song, but it wasn't on the Dangerous album. Because if you buy the album, you're not going to get it. My number 5 is "Remember the Time."
What?
Yes.
What?
Remember the Time.
Hold the podcast now.
Remember the Time, number 5. Because at the time
How?
when it came out, it was probably like, you know, this is the song that brought Michael back into the good books where we all embraced him, and you know, he was like, hey, he hasn't forgotten us. Loved it, the video, the whole African King and Iman, and it was, if it was ever a come home song, that was it. But I think because I've listened to it so long, and I think I prefer the Teddy New Jack remix more. So when I listen to the original version, I can get tired of it. And so when I'm listening to the album, it really was, it was good at the time, but I just felt like, okay, there were songs that I preferred better. So Remember the Time is my number 5.
Wow.
Beautiful video, beautiful comeback song. It was that's his. That is his sort of like, yep, he hasn't forgotten his track. But
So-
on the album, it was my number 5.
Can I ask you this as like I think of you, and I said this to Stevie after our last podcast. I'm getting to know you more, Nnamdi, and I think when I think of Teddy Riley fans, I think you are a true Teddy Riley fan. So I find it very interesting that you put Remember the Time at number 5, because that feels like a proper Teddy Riley production. Like, I don't think there was too much tinkering from Michael or anybody else. I think Teddy and Bernard Bell, they've just gone and done what they needed to do. And that is maybe the only pure Teddy Riley song on there, in my opinion. It didn't make my top number 1 either. It doesn't I'm not far from where you've put it. Don't get me wrong, but I'm just saying for you, I would have thought that you might have had it further up because of that. Just from how much I know you. That's all.
Yeah, as I said, it was one of those tracks where, when you're compiling it and you listen. So when I'm listening to the album right now, and I'm like, yeah, I'm skipping it. So, it's different 10, 20 years ago. Much better. But if as I'm listening to it today to compile it, and I prefer the remix so much, but I'm not one that would say, yeah, because of the remix, I'm going to put it up higher.
So if you was to compile your all-time favorite top 10 Michael Jackson songs, Remember the Time wouldn't even make it then.
No. Would it make it? No, it wouldn't make it. No.
Wow, that is amazing.
Yeah. But as I mentioned, this is. I mean, my all-time favorite song is Lady in My Life. That's my, any song in the world, that's my number 1 song. So that's a Michael, so that's how much I rate Michael. However, Remember the Time, I listen to it. So now if I'm listening to the song, I have to listen to Teddy's extended mix or New Jack mix. And I just love the variety of it. I just think it was just played so much. I think, Stevie, you had a track when we were doing it that you saying, maybe it was Motown Feel or something, that you said it was played so much. Or was it Poison? I can't remember.
I understand. Sometimes you hear a track so much that you
so much that's like, yeah. So that's the only reason. If it was back in the day, I probably would have been 1 or 2. But because as I listen to it now, it's like, yeah, I skip it.
That makes sense. No, that makes sense. I just, I think Stevie touches upon it sometimes. Andrew, I think you touched upon it. What we listened to at a certain point in time back then was different to what we listen to now, because our ears evolve, we change our tastes. So that makes perfect sense.
Yeah, but Natty, it
doesn't, because
video-wise, it was a perfect.
I feel that track has stood the test of time, but that's just my opinion.
Yeah, it has. Yeah. It's just as I said, if I listen to it, it's When Dangerous Territory now, top 4. Vijay, what's
so number 4? With you just said it. You've just said the title track, and that is my number 4, Dangerous. Original composition by Brian Loren. I'm sure all of you have heard the original version, or one or two of the original versions. So I don't understand, if Brian Loren was the one that created those songs, why is he not credited as a creator of the song Dangerous? I don't understand what's happened there. Maybe somebody's fallen out with somebody, they've forgotten something on there, but he should be credited somewhere. But Dangerous, I just think, is a perfect. It's a great song. I understand why the album was called Dangerous. I think it would have made a fantastic single. I was talking to my uncle when this album came out, and he said, I can't wait for Dangerous to be a single. And then we were both mystified after two and a half years when the whole Dangerous album was done and it didn't come out as a single. We were really, really surprised, because I think the remixes of that would have been insane. Can you imagine having, I don't know, all the New Jack rappers rapping on that, or having extra vocals by Jodeci and Guy, Michael Jackson featuring Jodeci and Guy on Dangerous? I don't know. Just, you could have done so much with it. An Untouchables remix. Imagine that. my brain was going overtime, but that's my number 4.
It says on this, the Dangerous early version on this, the demo says it was Bill Bottrell and Michael Jackson, previously unissued. Teddy Riley gets labelled as a writer. So
something's happened. I'm sure Brian Loren was involved in the original version. So
I don't remember Brian Loren's name coming up. It was his name came up in that track with LL Cool J, didn't it?
Yeah.
That unreleased track with LL Cool J. I don't remember it on Dangerous though.
He's credited on something as a something there. I did see his name. His name did pop up on something. He's a co-producer or.
He did a few tracks, but I don't remember it being Dangerous, VJ. But
yeah, I've never seen him on. So
maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, I've never seen him anything on Dangerous. So okay,
maybe I've misunderstood something, but I've always had this in my head that he was involved in the original version of.
It could have been.
Dangerous. Yeah.
Right, anyway, Andrew, what was your number 4?
Yeah. So I was, it was June 27th. It was a Sunday, I believe. And June 27th, 2009. And I was walking down the street outside of the Apollo. Mind you, of course, this is 2 days after MJ passed. And someone was blasting the Bucharest concert. And it was just blasting on the streets. And I think everyone just appreciated that they were celebrating MJ, that weekend. And the song that was playing and blasting and echoing off the concrete buildings on that street right outside the Apollo in Harlem, 125th, was the same song that Music Tips and Reviews with JG has put at number 4. And that song is a product you put on toast. And that product is called Jam. And I believe it or not to knock Dangerous, I never got Dangerous, still don't. I know MJ would perform that song with his like Smooth Criminal wannabe shit. Sorry, Smooth Criminal wannabe like performance with all these people. The girl is bad. Like I'm like, dude, we've seen this so many times. Stop, comes with something different. He always, I swear to God, he just loved that routine. So anyway, that didn't help, right? Whereas Jam was like the opening of the concert. You can hear the screams. And I've actually even listened to Jam when I'm just getting ready to go work out. Because to me, there's something very adrenalized about it. And it was like, okay, this is what happens, to your point, both actor and the hottest singer onto one track. It's like, OMG, it's a supernova of excitement. So that's why I like Jam. And Jam didn't hit me like until I think that moment outside of the street. Go for this, Jam. Like, it's just, you know what I'm saying? Like, you feel me? So yeah, that's my number 4. And it's just, yeah, the song doesn't let up. Even towards the end, like that, like all the little, like there's just so many little things happening in the background. Just, all right, I think you guys get the
point. Okay. Jam. Okay. Wait a minute.
Number 4. We're still at number 4.
Yeah. What did you have, Stevie?
I'm going to sound pretty contradictory here, because what I do like about this song is the chorus. I feel it's very memorable, but here's the contradiction. If you was to go out on the street and ask the general public, do you remember the title track to Michael Jackson's Thriller? They'll probably sing it to you. If you say to them, do you remember the title track to Bad? They'll probably sing it to you. If you said to them, do you remember the title track to Off the Wall? They probably sing, but they go, yeah, I remember that. But if you said to them, do you remember the title track to Dangerous? I bet 9 times out of 10, they're going to go, no. So number 4 is Dangerous for me.
Okay.
Take that in, guys. Historically, his title tracks to his albums had always been very memorable and strong. He released his date, didn't even come out as a single. Was it that strong? I like the chorus though. I do like it's a very long track, maybe too long.
I think the song is memorable, very memorable, and I was shocked when it didn't come out as a single. So And I think a lot of the like with all the Dangerous tour and all the other bits and pieces around it, they kept using that jingle, "The Girl Is So Dangerous." So there was a lot of like it might not have been a single, but that song, that little bit where it kept saying "The Girl Is So Dangerous," that was used a lot in the promotional stuff for that album. So
it was reported that he was going to do the video in the style of Smooth Criminal, but the whole lawsuit stuff, when that came in, it just derailed those plans, and so that was what was reported. Okay.
You know, if you take that whole track, that 7-minute track, "Dangerous," I don't think they nailed a final verse. It doesn't. You listen to it, and there's so much like you think there's not much going on here. What could it's like they couldn't decide. They had like this spoken word bit, then they had the chorus, and then them singing. But there's so much to it that I don't think they nailed the final version of that. That's probably why it didn't come out as a single. But what do I know? I'm going off what I'm listening to, really. But I do like that. I do like it.
Well, my number 4, as has been said, actually, I think the only thing that let this song down was the music video. It was, I think it was just wasn't easy to understand. But other than that, I just thought this was really, just loved the drum beats, loved the story behind it, loved the emotion behind it, loved that MJ was saying, you know what, Biz Markie, Doggy Fresh, I got this before you did. And that was Who Is It? You know, because he's doing his dum 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 dum. I just I loved the track. I think the video, he had all the supermodels, and I couldn't really make out what I think the video let it down because that wasn't a MJ level video, because he got all the supermodels, but it just didn't really. He got a supermodel in it, but it was just the beats, the drum, the whole story. He said,
"I'm with you, man. I'm with you."
I love the track. So I mean, I love Teddy tracks. It's better to me. I prefer that than to Remember the Time. I just love the whole story, the way this just builds up. From is there a friend of mine? Who is it? Somebody, yeah. And it doesn't seem to matter. And it doesn't. I wish he had actually
Remember the Time.
Yeah, I think if he had just done it on stage, I think Remember Time. The video is probably his best, one of his best ones. Behold the culture, but to me, just the whole story, the whole, I think the emotions he had in Who Is It is probably one of his more emotional tracks. Of course, Butterflies and Heaven Can Wait. If I was to do my top 10 Michaels, those would be there. But this would probably make my top 10 Michael Jackson. Who Is It?
Wow, that's an interesting comment.
Yeah, they're definitely. I mean, I loved. As I said, I can listen to it, and I love the emotions in it. Yeah, I mean, I think if you listen to his emotions and how he connects to it. As I said, it's not a Butterfly level or Late in My Life level or Heaven Can Wait level kind of emotional connection, but yeah. All right, top 3.
Top
This
3.
didn't end well for her.
For
The
me.
Escort. Oh yes, the Escort. Yeah, that was in the video. Oh yes, Who Is It? Yeah, but she was talking about the video about the Escort trying to leave, and she wanted to get away from that lifestyle. But the song in itself, it made it seem as
so he had an escort then.
Well, there was a model who played his girlfriend, but she was living a double life, and he didn't realize. But he should have he should have had a video of, his girlfriend pretending to cheat on him, but maybe she was throwing a birthday party or something like that. It just felt like she was trying to leave this life, and he just got tired of it. And who is it? It's a friend of mine. Somebody hurt my feelings. Who is it? Okay.
Can I share a quick story before I share my number 3? So somebody that stayed with Michael Jackson for 18 months during the making of this Michael Jackson Dangerous album, they said to me that people made out like Michael wasn't into women, but he said this guy, I don't want to say the person's name, but they used to play PlayStation.
Diddy, was it?
Huh? It wasn't Diddy. Stevie, man. So he used to play PlayStation with Michael a lot, and he said, I was with him for 18 months, and he said one time, and this was one of many times, Michael Jackson was in a room with like 10 women. He said 10. And he said, Vijay, if you saw any one of these 10 women, they were all 10 out of 10s, the most beautiful women you could ever imagine. And people make out like Michael is asexual or he's this or he's that. But Michael was into women. And I just wanted to share that story because that was just a cool story. I don't know.
Hold on a minute. What were the 10 women doing there exactly?
They were probably not playing PlayStation, I suspect. That's what I understood. They were not playing
party as well then.
Well, he had his pie, whatever.
It's like I say, he's got a lot of money. Man's got a lot of money.
Hey,
he can buy what he wants.
Maybe he had all those women and they just played cards. I don't know. But the way this guy said it, he said he was with them.
Yeah.
You interpret that however you want to. And he said they were all absolutely stunning.
I can believe that.
Yep, that was that. My number 3 is should probably have been further up on this, to be fair, because it's the perfect Teddy Riley production. I think all the sound and feel like Teddy. There are 4 albums around that period which I think encapsulated Teddy Riley's sound. I would say Michael Jackson, Dangerous, Guy the Future, Bobby Brown's Bobby, and Rex and Effect, Hard or Smooth. And if you're thinking about a combination of all of those and the perfect Teddy sound, Remember the Time absolutely nails it, and that's why it is my number 3. Brilliant.
Number 3. How?
I know, mate. I know. All right.
Jack Swing album of all time, and you've got it at number 3.
Listen, the other 2 are a little bit edgier. I'll leave it at that.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's
top 3 though, right, Stevie?
It is.
It's not 10 or 14, is it?
No, fair enough. It's a great song.
Go ahead, Andrew.
After I share my number 3 and you guys get over the shock of number 3, then I'll regain your confidence in number 2 and number 1.
As long as you not heal the world, then we go ahead.
But as long as there are ways to get there, if you care enough for the living, make a little space.
Oh dear.
Place. It's at number 3.
What? I was even. Are you serious?
Place. You just said it, dude. Heal the World is number 3, and I knew it's not going to be Nnamdi's face. Yo, I was watching an MTV documentary, and it was a Love at First Listen. I actually liked it. Yes, it is corny, but I like the message of this song. Is it what's it called? Man in the Mirror? No, but it is a sweet song, and I like the melody. So yes, I do think "Heal the World" is a signature Michael Jackson song. So for that reason, it is number 3. But I am not an idiot. I am not tone deaf. I can read the room. So that's why I prefaced my selection with the fact that y'all can absolutely make fun of me. I get it.
So dude, hold on a minute. I get it. This is, we are allowed to have our subjective list. It's our opinion. We can put whatever we like in it.
Yeah.
But
this is what makes a podcast great, because it's coming from all different opinions.
It is. But for me, Heal the World is like what is everything that's wrong with Michael Jackson's. I respect what he's trying to do with the song. I respect the amount of money that he raised because of that song and the Heal the World Foundation and everything else. But for me, it's like going to a McDonald's window to a drive-through to buy your food, and then somebody comes out with a bean burger from Burger King, and you're like really confused, like what's going on here? Sorry, I know that's brutal, but I'm not a fan of this song at all.
I mean, what was more brutal? I think was it that song that Jarvis Cocker, when he was performing it live on the TV, Jarvis Cocker went out straight in front of Michael and just made him look a complete idiot, basically, because it was surrounded by kids, and obviously there was all the controversy with the kids at the time. He's singing like a pie, when he just come out, and it kind of just sent him up, really. I'll never forget that either.
Yeah, I mean, there was something about Heal the World that, okay. I mean, good message, good singing and voice and stuff, but I think this is where when you're thinking about, I probably missed the era where CD vinyls had such a limited number, so you could just say, here's my top 8 or 9 song, and you just stay with that. Can you imagine the fact that they had to leave Carousel out because of Human Nature? And then all of a sudden, now we've got space. Let's just dump stuff in there. So, yes, okay. I mean, when we do our honorable mention, you'd be surprised.
I mean, really, MJ, he was kind of on a mission. He wanted to save the planet, didn't he? You think he was that high up as an artist that he did. I can see where the intention of the song was coming from.
Yeah.
That I 100% understand, and that is so. And like, I'm of a very different opinion to everybody that says that Michael's guilty of this or Michael's guilty of that. I'm not in that ballpark at all. Nothing's proved. You can't tell me shit about Michael Jackson. He's a legend. He is a legend. I don't know. Nothing's been proven, and until it's proven or somebody says that, whatever, and it's done in a court of law.
I'll tell you what, the only thing that doesn't sit well with me is the fact that this Neverland Ranch, there's a lot of children over there, and there was hidden rooms in that That doesn't sit well.
But you know what? Even the guys who did searching for
that fact doesn't sit well with me. I'll be honest.
The 2 guys who had that documentary, Surviving Never. I think it's just been they've had to take it down.
They were
liars. Like
they've had to take down that video. I think on Netflix, and they had to take it all down. So. No,
if you believe Cat Williams, well, it's gonna get, he knows some stuff, doesn't he? Allegedly.
Yeah. So I mean, as I said, he was proven not guilty even when he was alive. So, but anyway, we digress. We're celebrating the album. We've got Heal the World number 3.
Number 3.
Go ahead, Stevie.
Number 3.
Yeah, number 3?
You went for Heal the World. Wow. My number 3, minus the car horn, which wasn't. She drive me wild. Minus the car horn. I'll go for that. Number 3. Heavy Riley track. Yeah, great track.
My number 3 is because when I started listening to the album, and Jam started it off, and then when I got to this track, I was like, I loved the progression, and I loved how funky it was, and this is why you want to trip on me. And I was like, I can feel like, okay, Teddy's like, Mike, let me try this. I feel Teddy had some control in this production, and the whole. Yes, as Stevie mentioned, the whole guitar part was like a little. And in the credits, it says Teddy's on guitar. If you look at the credits, it says Teddy was playing the guitar. But this is when if you're looking at, in fact, where is the? Because when you look at the album, and I very rarely have that many CDs.
Wow,
but when I got the album here. Cool. But when you look at it, and you just see written and composed by Teddy Riley and Bernard Bell. So this is when you know that Teddy really did have some sway on this track. They say I'm different. Why are you? So this is Bernard that's writing the lyrics and Teddy doing the music. But I just love the whole progression, the whole stuff like that. Why you wanna trip on me? I wish they had actually released it as a single as well. But yeah,
hey man.
Why you wanna trip on me? Number 3. Yes. So down to the top 2.
My number 2 is Nnamdi, your number 3. Why You Want to Trip on Me makes my number 2.
Okay.
I felt this was a proper Teddy Riley track. I felt like
Yeah.
just what you just summed it up for me. I felt he had more autonomy with this song. I felt it was hard. It kind of felt hip hop and it felt New Jack at the same time.
Yeah.
You had Michael Jackson on top of that. There's a version of this with a Teddy Riley keyboard solo.
Wow.
Again, they had to cut all of this stuff out because that wasn't the trend at the time. But Why You Want to Trip on Me, absolutely brilliant. Love it. My number 2.
So is it when, because he had the then he went doom 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 why? So he almost had a place for the solo. Then he went back into it and just kept rising and kept rising.
It is the keyboard solo is brilliant, but it's not. You'd love it, Nnamdi. You'd be like, whoa, are they mad? What is wrong with these people? Are they smoking crack? Yeah, alas, it wasn't meant to come out.
Wow, Keep the Faith at number 2. Wow, goodness. Okay, Black and White at number 2. It's amazing just to everyone's taste and stuff.
Oh, and shout out to Denise. I think I see Denise there.
Yeah, DP.
DP is there. Hello, Denise.
Okay, Andrew, I'm almost frightened to know what your number 2 is.
Yeah, but the thing is, I said I was going to get my credibility back, and I think I will. So, but also shout out to the comment section for having my back, was saying, yeah, no, keep the world is good, or you have a good voice. Like, thank you. No. So number 2, I've danced on dance floors to this one. And there is something very communal about going to an MJ versus Prince party or a celebrating MJ party where everyone's there to celebrate the music. And there's nothing like being on a dance floor and seeing people shout at each other at the same time, double dut, or whatever. Like, do you remember, girl, on the phone? Like, it's just, there's certain songs that are just part of the zeitgeist. And after, I'll say, the disappointment for me, that was Black or White. Then Remember the Time comes out as the second single, and I'm like, finally, here we go. As a matter of fact, the station that I listen to, KMEL, which someone mentioned, they know what that is in the Bay Area, they didn't even play Black or White, really. They kind of played it, but they went right to Remember the Time. So Remember the Time for me is my number 2. It was absolutely a true New Jack Swing Teddy song. The video absolutely exceeded expectations. And I think it's a timeless song. I think if that song comes on anywhere and people are dancing, and not only are they dancing, they are actually going to sing it with you or whatever. And then when the whole On the Phone, You and Me, all those little like ad libs are just, they're part of the culture, man. And it's just, so number 2 for me, gladly. Remember the Time. And last but not least, you didn't ask for this, but there is a mashup with Remember the Time to Human League's Human by Jamin Lewis. And let me tell you, for me, it's a really amazing reinvention. But anyways, yeah, I've talked enough. Remember the Time. My credibility is hopefully back.
Those ad libs near the end of the track,
outrageous.
Fine tingling.
And the other thing about Remember the Time, do you guys know the New Jack Jazz version of that?
Mm-hmm.
I think I've heard it.
I remember that.
If anybody's listening, and you got all of you, Nnamdi, Andrew, if you haven't heard it, Stevie, you say you've heard it, please listen to it. It is perfection. It is just stunning. The New Jack Jazz version of Remember the Time is a 10 out of 10. It's wow.
Yeah. I agree. Someone said it should be the lead single. I agree.
And okay, I need to. I've got the CD single. I'll pull it out and listen to it again. Okay. Remember Time 2. Stevie, what's your number 2?
For me, there's 2 tracks on this album that are absolutely faultless. And number 2, I thought this was faultless. I thought it was an incredible Can't Let Her Get Away. Incredible New Jack Swing track. It's for me, everything about it is just faultless. It's an incredible record. Number 2, easily number 2.
It's a great choice. It's a great choice.
Yeah. I mean, definitely.
I almost put it number 1. But for me, it's just number 2.
Okay. I'm surprised you guys had this my number 2 so low on your list. She's got the looks, she's fine, and you know damn well that girl will be mine. Uh-huh. God, I mean, I'm like, oh man, Michael Jackson featuring Rex and Effect. I mean, how New Jack Swing do you get if you get Michael Jackson featuring Rex and Effect? Oh goodness, I think he should have come out with a single with this one as well. You know, just you know, I mean, my number one's my number one, but I just love the whole thing, and you know, this is. We talk about New Jack, and this is when Teddy's like, "Look, Mike, let me handle this with my guys," and he did it with this track as well. You know, yeah, the door, the horn, the stuff is playing with effects, and I think when Rodney talks about Michael having him try and replicate some of those sounds when he did the Invisible stuff, but you know, it was unheard of to start recording a door shut and a horn and a car starting and using that in the beat and production as well. But I love the track. And you know, Rex and Effect being able to feature on it, and I think their hit rap was better than Heavy's in Jam as well. I think they were able to beat themselves in this one. So yes, She Drives Me Wild is my number 2.
Wow. And my number 1.
Hold on, before you reveal that, we go from 10 to 2 now. Or any
but also your honorable mentions
as well.
Yeah. So we go 14 down to 2.
Okay. So for me, my 14 was Gone Too Soon.
Okay.
It's not for me. It's not for me. I'm just saying. Sorry. And my number 13 is Black or White. I love what he tried to do, and I love what he wanted the message to be. But my God, that song was painful, man.
It was shocking. It was a shocker.
It wasn't for me. It wasn't for me. And at that point, I was thinking, who is Bill Bottrell? And he only redeemed himself when he did Who Is It? I'm like, wow, this is all right.
Okay, yeah.
Bill, you're in my good books again. My number 12 is Heal the World. Not for me at all. My number 11 and number 10 was between Will You Be There and Keep the Faith. I think they're interchangeable. Number 9 is Given to Me. 8 is Jam. 7 is Can't Let Her Get Away. I hear you, Stevie, but I don't know. Yeah.
Wow.
Number 6
you let me down there, VJ. You let me down. I thought
I know. Yeah, I don't know. In the Closet. I'm changing my list tomorrow, by the way. It's going to be completely different. It's going to be number 1. No, just kidding. So Can't Let Her Get Away with Let Her Get Away is number 7. In the Closet, number 6. Who Is It's number 5. Dangerous is number 4. Remember the Time is number 3. Why You Want to Trip on Me is number 2. Do you want me to reveal my number 1?
Yes,
please.
My number 1 is Nnamdi's number 2. She Drives Me Wild, because I think it's outrageously good. It's just so good. I don't think it made Andrew's top 10. So we will have to have words later, perhaps. But it's definitely my top 10. And I was frustrated at the time. Like, I like people who've done something to get credits. So you mentioned Rex and Effect. And we know that it's Akhil Davidson, man. We're like, hey, man, Akhil's on the rap. And I'm looking at the credits and it doesn't say. It says, I don't know, it says guest rapper or something weird on the album. I'm like, that's no guest rapper. Say the guest rapper's name or whatever it was. And the idea of Michael Jackson, Rex and Effect, and Eddie Riley all on one track. It's just excitement overload for me. It's number 1 all day long, every day. Love it.
Yeah, I mean, it's as I said, it's you don't get any New Jack than Rex and Effect feat on a Michael Jackson feature with a Teddy Riley production. I mean, and that's
it.
Yeah,
it's in a sentence, it's Guy and Rex and Effect with Michael Jackson. That's what that's right. Just think about that. That's what that song is. That's what it's number 1. Done.
I think it's weird. Teddy used that did I can't remember now. I've lost the sort of beat, but he's probably used that. Yeah, I think if you think of Dog Me Out remix and stuff like that, he kind of used that type of um the sort of the drumming stuff. But anyway,
And Nnamdi, another thing that, because I know how much you like Teddy Riley's sound, and the most interesting thing was last conversation that we had. You were talking about Teddy Riley's production, and you were saying this man was on this level, and then he did this. What's he doing? And you were so mad and frustrated, and I'm like, hey, hold on a minute. Nnamdi's in my head. Get out of my head, man. Doing the same thing. So I'm with you, man. I 100%. So as time went on, I think the sound became something else, and I wasn't so much of a fan of that as well. But hey.
Yeah, we definitely have to do our top 10 Teddy tracks that we would have used on the verses against Babyface.
That's a good one.
Remixes, but the songs that he produced, so that it would have been like if we compiled the track to say Teddy used this for the verses against Face, so Teddy would have won. These are the 20 tracks.
That'll be good. Ross
no Wizzy Wizza.
Ross has just shared Wizzy Wow. Thank you, Rough Mix. That's brilliant.
Was it? So last exit, the brother says she drives me around featuring Zan on the remix. Unless that was just a wishful thinking.
I think that probably is. That would be good. Yeah.
Okay. Andrew.
So
10 to 2, please. 10 to 2.
I'm not gonna do because the 14. I don't have time for that. I can't do that on the fly. But she drives me wild at number 10. Keep the faith at number.
Hey, I was wrong. I apologize. It did make your top 10. I'm sorry. I take it back. It made your top 10.
Just made it. All right. Number 10. Keep the faith. Number 9. Will You Be There? Number 8. Gone Too Soon. Number 7. Can't Let Her Get Away. Number 6. Who Is It? Number 5. Jam. Number 4. Heal the World. Number 3. Remember the Time. Number 2. And number 1 for me, I will remember it was the summer of 1992. And I remember seeing the video. It was a sepia filter. And you guys wearing a white top, dancing in the desert, black jeans. You could see the sand. Herb Ritz, I think that's who shot the video, did an amazing job. And people talk about MJ not being, asexual or whatever. But to me, it was like that dude in that video was a player. Not in a bad way, but this guy had nothing but sheer, normal, just macalicious charisma. And I know he didn't do a whole lot of dancing per se, but I think the dancing that he did do was really cool, especially in the doorway at the end. So for me, it's not even the album version I like, it's the video version. Kind of like what happened with Spend the Night with Guy. The video version, that like that, like, you know what I'm talking about? Like that's in the video version. It's not in the album version so much. And I have to hear that one. So when you hear the little bam, like if I hear that on a dance floor, forget it. So for me, it's in the closet. And I also feel like it was the last one where, no, this is MJ actually, like no one sounds like this. Like he's not trying to sound like anybody else. It felt like a real MJ track with Teddy Spice. It almost felt like for me, like, oh my God, Teddy, you should be so honored that it is you making this MJ track because no one else in Summer 92 sounded like that track. So for me, it was like the last blockbuster, like where I wish we could sound like that, for me, So yeah, the video, the swagger, I actually wanted to be him. Like I wanted to actually lose weight and be slim and and just lithe and just move like that in the video. And they know me doing her thing. Anyways, I get excited. I just want to say I love In the Closet, but it has to be that particular video version. And yes, I totally repped it and it's on my phone.
You know what? To be honest, though, if he was just doing an album with those type of songs, it would have been. If that was a lot of what Dangerous was like, I would have definitely loved those type of tracks because it was different. it wasn't a conventional type of song because it, stops and sings and stuff like that. And you could say, wow, Mike's doing stuff. But then he had, Heal the World and Keep the Faith and Gone Too Soon and Given to Me. It had all those other tracks but that was definitely definitely a good record and stuff. And so I mean, I can't really fault you with that. Stevie.
So, what was it? Someone says Lisa Marie Presley said he was totally hetero, but he was an artist and different from the average guy. So misunderstood. So, in terms of what's this? So Mr. Dave Chappelle. So if Dave Chappelle doesn't come out, if he comes out and says he's not part of the alphabet people, are we all right with that then?
What's that?
Say that again.
If Dave Chappelle, if he famously does this joke about the alphabet people, do you know the alphabet people are? So according to what DP is heterosexual, he's not, so he won't be part of the alphabet.
The alphabet people. Yeah.
Fair enough. I just thought I'd get I heard that joke where he think about the alphabet, and I thought, what's he talking about there? And when I realised what he was talking about, I just thought it was very funny. But maybe for another podcast.
Yeah.
He's going, what are you talking about, Steve? What are you talking about this? Anyway, number 10 for me was Keep the Faith.
Oh, you're not going to, you're 14 down to?
Not a chance. There's not, I can't not a chance. Number 10, Keep the Faith. Number 9, Who Is It? Was there any remixes of Who Is It? Because I never bought that single.
I think so. No, there are. I think there's some dance remixes of that.
All right. Number 8, Jam. Number 7, Why You Want to Trip on Me. Number 6, In the Closet. Number 5, Someone Put Your Hand Out. Sorry, I cheated there, guys. Number 4, Dangerous. Number 3, She Drives Me Wild. Number 2, Can't Let Her Get Away. Number 1, come on. It's one track. There's one track that is a classic on this album that stood the test of time. I know it stood the test of time because even though I've heard it so many times, I'm not sick of hearing it. It still gives me goosebumps. It's just incredible track. It's one of his. It'd make my all-time top 10 Jackson tracks. Remember the Time.
Wow, dude! That's massive.
It's a funny thing. None of us had the same number one, and that's.
Well, you've not revealed your number one yet.
Yeah, but but that particular one was number 5 for me.
And Stevie, you said something. It makes your number one. And D'Angelo was asked if there's any song that was written by somebody else that he wished he had written. He said, "I wish I'd written Remember the Time." He said that song is absolutely perfect, and I wish it was my song. Just interesting tidbit there.
Yeah, I think at the time, as I said, the video, everything about the song was amazing. I think I love the Teddy remix versions better. So when I do listen to the original, it just doesn't do it to me. I skip it and I listen to the original. So I was able to go from 11 down to 1. Number 11, Heal the World. Number 14, sorry. Number 14, that's almost last but not the least. Number 13, Gone Too Soon. It was like, yep, it was a beautiful song, but it was like, yeah. 12 was Given to Me. Number 11 was Black or White. There were elements of it, that at the time it just felt like, okay, a big track, but he could have done better. Number 10, Keep the Faith. Number 11, Will You Be There? 8, Jam. Number 7, I Can't Let You Get Away. Number 6, In the Closet. Number 5, Remember the Time. Number 4, Who Is It? Number 3, Why You Want to Trip on Me? Number 2, She Drives Me Wild. And I just love the beats on this track. I love the fact that it is 6.5 minutes, and the drum programming is almost. And this is almost like when I think of All Right, where it's like, this is a solid beat. Like, let's just keep going. Let's just doop dap, just my baby. Dangerous. I just,
Wow.
I listen to it when it's so loud, and I'm just like, man, look at it. It just the beat, the drums and everything. Yeah, I just love the song, and I'm just a pity he didn't. So that's why I love the MTV performance, because this was supposed to be the video and stuff. And he walks around with the whole thing, and he still shows, look, man, I can still do this stuff. You want 20 dancers or 100 dancers? Anyone else who does it is just copying me. So Dangerous is my favorite on the album. It used
Great
to be one of
choice.
my top 10 Michael tracks, but so it is, yeah, Dangerous. Yeah, I mean, let's put headphones on
Okay.
and turn it up and listen to it, and just the drums are just God.
Try
It,
it. I will. No, I will try it. I'll try it.
you try.
It's a great production. That's the thing. That's why I wanted it to be a single. I was hopeful of it to be a single, and he'd done that with Thriller and Bad, and you thought, okay,
Yeah.
it'll definitely be a single, and then it wasn't.
Yeah, it was the whole cold case. He stayed because he said, I can't remember who said it, but the video was supposed to be like the Smooth Criminal type of stuff. That's why he did the stuff. And I think if he did the Dangerous tour, he was singing it on the, so he loved the song and he wanted to bring it up. Or maybe it was Teddy that said, I can't remember, but I just loved the whole, yeah. Yeah, so it's just So that's the only reason why it beats She Drives Me Wild. It's just that I listen to Dangerous nonstop. Yeah.
I want to say I love Blood on the Dance Floor. I listen to that song a lot too. Susie's Got Your Number. I don't know. It just feels also very Teddy. And yeah, I think it's underrated. But I just wanted to throw that out there as try to get my New Jack Swing credibility back.
What about Ghost? What do you think about Ghost?
Listen,
Ghost.
Andrew, firstly, hold on a minute. You, of all people, do not need to justify New Jack Swing credibility to anybody. Do you know?
No.
Do you know who this man is? This is Andrew Bloody Knight, man. This is the original. This guy is the Don, mate. And, yeah, so you don't need to anything. You do what you do, you bro. You are good.
I appreciate it. No, I'll have to check out Ghost. But no, I love this podcast too because I love hearing different perspectives because it makes me like I'll go back and revisit. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I'll give Ghost and Dangerous again. And you're right, Nnamdi. Like I think that I'm all about associations. I was negatively affected by the allegations and all that. I'm not saying he did or not, but I am just saying I like to see people win. But when it just felt, the whole thing just felt just kind of tainted and lackluster and just muddled. And it wasn't the MJ that I grew up with, as we all grew up with.
Yeah.
In the
But see, you think, go ahead, Steve.
I've just said I think the one thing that everyone can agree on, though, that he's terribly missed. We're all missing terribly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big time.
Yeah.
Shocking, it's terribly missed.
I mean, when we think of the, I think History, I was disappointed with History because Teddy wasn't on it. And because when I bought it, and I was like, there's no Teddy. And I almost didn't listen to it. And it took me a while just to, why don't they care about us? Okay, that's a nice little powerful song. And Stranger in Moscow, okay, that's an Earth song. Okay, there's some real emotional songs. But there was no Teddy. Even You're Not Alone, and there was no Teddy. So that really affected how I got into the album because I bought it the first day, and it took me a while to get into it. But then who was it that was saying it? I think it was Mucho that mentioned that. Hey, he was working on Blackstreet, and he realized you because you spent 2 years with Mike. You do 200 songs and you may just get 3 or 4 out there and everything else passes you by. And I think he had to, when he got that deal with the MCA, he had to make a decision. Do I go and invest 2 years with Mike or do I start putting out stuff? And I think he chose that, which to my disappointment was missing out on History. But then he comes back on Invincible, which was supposed to be a Rodney project. But then halfway through, Mike thinks, you know what, I'm missing stuff. And then Teddy comes out with I think 6 or 7 tracks on Invincible. So not his best tracks, but 2000. Is it 2000 watts?
Watts.
Yeah, which was, I thought, wow, that's just such a, it's a very deep voice of Michael, very different type of track and energy.
There were two tracks that were there done for history, which I believe Teddy did. Teddy did one track with David Wynn, which uses the break from LL Cool J's "How I'm Coming."
Nice.
And so David Wynn got a contract, which was for 2 songs with Michael. But then when Michael didn't choose any of them, none of them got used. So for David, he's not. Would have been very disappointed by that. Another song that I believe was recorded for history with Teddy was with Teddy and Rodney. They did a track with Blackstreet, and there's a Pakistani singer called Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan. So the idea that those talents were all on one song is, and we are never going to hear that, are we? So it is what it is. But yeah.
I mean, we're all very lucky that we've come through the Michael Jackson era as an artist. I mean, Gen Z will never understand the Thriller, everything that went on with Thriller, the hype behind that, the album, the video. We're very lucky to have experienced that. I don't think Gen Z have got an artist that even comes close to what we experienced with Michael Jackson. So
yeah, I mean, they say Taylor Swift, but is Taylor Swift on the level of Michael Jackson?
No.
Not a chance. Not a chance.
No, I'm just trying to be objective here. She's so popular. They love her.
Yeah, but you've got the media. But the thing about Mike is that you can go to parts of Asia, parts of Africa, parts of Eastern Europe, parts of South America, and Michael is Michael. Parents will talk about him. Taylor has, if I ask my mom, do you know Taylor Swift? She'll probably say no. She will say no. But then no one who won't say they've known. I mean, I remember buying the Thriller album when we moved from the UK back to Nigeria. Everyone had a cassette of the whole Thriller album. It's unheard of that everyone plays the album,
It's the most famous person on the planet, really, wasn't he? At one point.
He was at the time. It was incredible.
Still is, I suppose. Still is.
But everyone, Taylor Swift had 8 or 9 shows at Wembley. She was trying to beat that record. It's everyone's trying to. That's the bar that you try and beat. I loved Heaven Can Wait. Heaven Can't Wait. I mean, till the angels know.
The difference with Taylor Swift is there's nothing musically that's groundbreaking. With Michael Jackson, you've got groundbreaking music. With Taylor Swift, you might get a very famous person, but I don't hear anything groundbreaking musically from her.
Is this an unfair statement? I find Taylor Swift's music middle of the road.
Yeah, I mean,
unfair. Am I being unfair?
No, not at all.
No. It's not.
Music. It's pop music. That's all it is.
Yeah,
it's nothing that we haven't heard before, is it? It's nothing that lyrics. What groundbreaking track has she done that's just made 47 million people go out and buy it? I don't know if she has, like MJ did.
Yeah. I mean, and it's not knocking her. She's not, she's a writer. She's a producer. She's come up with this massive tour. So no one's knocking her for what she's done.
With you go in like a record store now in HMV in this country, and you'll see a whole rack dedicated to all her. She's got 10 different versions of her album, and she does. People are buying her records. She's getting people in the. You need an artist for record shops to survive. You need an artist that's going to get people coming to buy them. And fair play to her. I see Gen X with a copy of her album in her hand, and I feel fair play to her, because that's what Michael Jackson did. People went out into a record shop and bought his albums. Yeah,
There's one thing I wanted to say about Taylor Swift, and we don't want to talk about her too much because it's way beyond the remit of what we're here for. But she is a very kind person with her lyrics, and I think she's very pro women, and she does empower women, and I think there's a message there, and she gives women strength. So I think that is what separates her from the pack of everybody else.
Yeah,
that is very admirable, I think. So
yeah. but there were artists, and there was Michael. So he's always because you think about sort of Chris Brown, you mentioned Usher, all these people, even Beyonce. They all look at what he did, think about Beat It, whatever it is, you have your people dancing behind you, your lead singer. That's pretty much he was it. That whole blueprint. He was selling records and doing deals that no one else could. So as the album, he's had, I think you'd say he's had what 6 solo albums. Well, I mean, we're not talking about Ben and those things. You think about Off the Wall, Thriller, Bad. He did Dangerous, History, then he did Invincible. So out of those 6 albums, I probably would always talk about. I mean, people think about Off the Wall being probably the best all round. Thriller being the biggest selling. I might lean more towards Bad than Dangerous when I think, because it was just about 8 songs or so, and I like Another Part of Me, Liberian Girl.
Nnamdi, did MJ have a private jet?
Oh, I don't know.
Well, if he did, it's time we land it, Nnamdi. It's time we land it now. It's time we land that plane.
Yes, Stevie. So I think we started off instead of being celebrating MJ, it felt as if we were bashing the album, but eventually we were able to appreciate the history making Teddy and Michael Jackson connection. But we will, when we do meet again, it'll be interesting to see if we can. The one person that connects us really is Teddy, and it'd be interesting if we do go into that top 20, if we were to prepare the versus list for Teddy
that would be fun. But before we go,
you had your
I just wanted to read out the list, which is a combined list from people. We didn't get that many submissions this week, maybe around 10, but this is the combined list. I just wanted to thank the people that have done it. Mandeep, Urban Music Showcase, Renge, Brandon, Brent, Monica, Bjorn, Zach, Adelino, Raj, Deland, William, and Denny, and everybody else that has contributed to these lists. So thank you very much for doing them. So the list is obviously we've been doing a top 10, but there's 14 songs on this album. So everybody's voted for the 14 songs. Mm-hmm. So this is a top 14 down to number 1. So combined total, Black or White is number 14. Gone Too Soon made it to number 13. Keep the Faith was number 12. The Bane of My Ears, Heal the World is number 11.
Wow.
Number 10 is Will You Be There? Number 9 is Give In To Me. Number 8 is Stevie's favorite, Can't Let Her Get Away. Wow. Number 7 is Who Is It? Number 6 is She Drives Me Wild. Wow. Number 5 is Dangerous. Oh. Number 4 is Why You Wanna Trip On Me. So it should be really not much of a surprise that the last 3 are the singles by Teddy. Number 3 is Jam.
Wow.
And this was very close to call between these last 2. Number 2 is In the Closet.
Yeah.
So Stevie is obviously better than all of us because he got it right. Remember the Time. Remember the Time is number 1. Fantastic. So it makes sense. Exactly where it should be. No, it makes sense. It makes sense. It makes perfect sense. Perfect Teddy Riley composition. Perfect. It was. And some talent that we didn't mention today that were on this album. Renee Moore from Renee and Angela. He's on this album. Bruce Swedian, we mentioned Bill Bottrell, Teddy, obviously. Paul Jackson Jr. is on this album. Akil Davidson, Brian Loren, we mentioned. Steve Porcaro, incredible talent. Brad Buxer, Slash, Andre Crouch, Greg Fillinganes, Saida Garrett, and Jean-Marie Horvat. And Ross mentioned Mark Ryden did the artwork for this album, and I think he did a great job, although some of us might disagree.
And what was the total cost of the whole album, BJ? Any ideas? The total cost?
I don't know. I think Invincible cost 30 million, I think. Which is crazy. How do you spend $30 million on an album?
Crazy, isn't it?
That doesn't make any sense. I don't know about Dangerous, but I understood that Invincible was $30 million. And Nnamdi, you've done so many.
Probably triple that then, won't it?
Probably, yeah.
I wonder how much Teddy got paid anyway.
But Nnamdi, you said about History not being good enough, like because Teddy wasn't on it, you were disappointed. I was disappointed too, but you got to give props to songs like This Time Around with
no, yeah, it was a good
Junkie with Jam and Lewis. What the hell is that song? It's perfect. It's just so good. And Money is just a Michael Jackson production. I think it's a very good album.
They don't know. It's a good. I think, as I said, I rushed out, bought the album, think, okay, how many did Teddy produce? And he wasn't on any, and I sort of pushed it away. Then I eventually listened to it. So as I said, when you're obsessed with Teddy and he's not on it, it's like, what? He just did Dangerous. Why won't he do this?
I have a controversial question. Is there a single song on Dangerous that is as good as R. Kelly's You Are Not Alone?
Someone put your hand out. But it's not Dangerous, but that's my answer.
All right, let's just say the 14 songs.
That's a great song, that.
You Are Not Alone is probably it's a 10 out of 10 song for me. I think it's absolute perfection. And
but if you ask anyone over the last 30 years, what's the best Michael song that's come out? Remember the Time will be. No one will remember You're Not Alone. I don't think people will forget it. I think it's Remember the Time is probably more memorable than Rockin' My World, and any other track.
Yeah, I agree.
So You're Not Alone, great song, was first song to debut at number 1, but I think most people will forget. I even forgot that it was on the album.
Is there a better song on Dangerous than Butterflies?
That's a great
vocally,
song.
no.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, vocally, no.
Outrageously good. Like they're 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
Is there a true 10 out of 10 on Dangerous? I don't know. I'm just.
No. I mean, Butterflies and Heaven Can Wait. That's those.
I also like Break of Dawn. Break of Dawn is the one that I really like. My ears perked up the first time I heard it. I think it's track 4, and I looked and I saw Teddy Riley on there. I'm like, you go, Teddy. Like, you still got it. I remember. I just had to throw that one out there. There is an amazing AI remix of You Are Not Alone, but it's with Young Mike's vocals. Dude, it's insane.
Very good. Yeah, it's very good.
Yeah, so just keep your ears peeled on. And then also, because
it's froze.
Jamie and Lewis are like my favorite producers of all time, I was actually disappointed in that I felt like even their sound kind of got lost in MJ's vision, maybe the same way Teddy's sort of got muted a little bit. But Tabloid Junkie did feel the most like Jam and Lewis-ish, but even History, as far as like the chorus, like, every day begins your, like that had a bit of a, I loved Eddie's face. Anyway, I liked the album. I did.
I like the album.
Yeah, but anyway, I was happy that Jam and Lewis were involved, and even Scream. If you hear that on a dance floor, for me, it's kind of cool. Like, it just depends. It depends on where you are. Like, some people are like, yes. Other people are like, dude, like, we're gonna sit down. But for me, I'll get up. I'll do my thing.
Scream was not the one, man.
Duh.
It was not the one, man. No. But there was a, and so you have to take Michael's vocals off it. There's a Dave Jam Hall instrumental of Scream, remix of Scream, and there's one with Dave Jam Hall with Michael, obviously, and there's one without, with just music. And I think the music one's better. You don't need it. Just sounds amazing. Scream was not the song for me, but the idea
I liked it a little more than y'all. Like I was excited.
No,
I think it could be some Jam and Lewis bias. I'll be. Someone said Butter Rock Lies is all right. Sorry, I just No, dude. Like Butterflies is a masterpiece, and then Marsha's version too. Like I've heard her sing it live. She's a dream, a gem in and of herself.
Yeah.
There's something I want to say, but I'm forgetting it, so I'll just have to like be okay with it. But I just want to get it out there. I love this platform. I love this podcast. Thank you guys both for like having us again. Like I really.
That's a good point. That's a good point to leave the listeners wanting more now, guys. Leave the listeners wanting more for the next episode. Nnamdi, land that plane, please. Land that private jet.
Oh, got it.
Or let's take off and get out of here. One or the other, please.
Okay.
So the screen reader was good. Vijay, Andrew, Steve, appreciate you guys this evening. It was definitely a 30 million selling album that we've just celebrated, and also Teddy, New Jack Swing history on this album. But we will be back in due time, and but it's definitely great to be able to speak and reminisce on all these things, and Teddy Riley next, but we'll set a date for that. But also you guys in the comments, thanks for listening out to your songs. It's been some disagreements and some fun comments as well. But we'll catch you guys next time. And go ahead, Vijay.
The thing with everybody's opinions, like all your listeners have got all their opinions. We are all entitled to have our opinions. We can.
That's what it's for. That's what this podcast is for.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Like I could think, Stevie, you've had the worst song. You could think I've got the worst song. It doesn't matter. It's our own personal lists. So anybody saying that somebody's put a bad choice or something, it's a personal list.
This is why the viewers tune in. They tune in for the. It's like this podcast in itself is like a drama in itself. Thank you all for watching and spending over 2 momentous hours with us.
Thank you.
We've kept for over 2 hours. This is crazy. We've got to go. We have to go. We'll be back.